Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today I will be giving you guys my thoughts and my review of the latest chapter of the Dragon Ball Super manga, Dragon Ball Super chapter 69. Now, a lot of information did get revealed in this chapter. Some very interesting new information, as well as some world building, which I always love in any story. My favorite part out of any story is world building, and we did get a lot of it in this chapter. Now, I didn't like everything that this chapter had, and I will get to the one thing that I specifically did not like. Now, before I get to the review, guys, as always, if you want to support my channel and what I do here, please consider leaving a like, share the video, and of course, clicking on the subscribe button if you have not subscribed already. And please remember to click on the bell icon, because that way you'll be notified whenever I make a brand new video, especially my review for the next chapter, which should be out every month as always. So, let's get to the actual events of the chapter. Now, a few things did happen in this chapter, and I'm going to be focusing on each and every one of them individually. The first thing that I want to focus on happens to involve the Heater Gang. Now, for me, this was, in my opinion, kind of the least interesting part of the chapter. That's why I'm going to talk about it first, because I just want to get it out of the way. So we finally see what the Heater Gang originally had planned for OG73I. We see them hack into his mind in order to get the information that they need. And one thing that they were looking for is the location of Zuno's palace. Now, Zuno, you might remember him from the Future Trunks arc. I think it was either the Future Trunks arc. Yeah, it was indeed the Future Trunks arc with Zamasu. Yeah, sorry, it's been a while since I've read the manga or watched the anime. But yeah, Zuno is the one person in the universe who definitely knows everything. And if you remember from the Heater Gang and their conversation with Granolah in the previous chapter, they said themselves that information is the most valuable thing. And since Zuno is the one who knows everything, then who better for them to go after? So they officially have the coordinates of Zuno's palace, and of course I assume that in the future of this arc we will see them heading over there. And what they plan on doing with that information, well, again, we'll have to wait and see. But they also did hint that maybe, just maybe, they might also be going to see Granolah on Planet Cereal in the future. Which, again, as to why that is, I'll get to why that is once we talk about what happened with Oatmeal and what happened with, or not Oatmeal, Granolah, and what happened with him in this chapter. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the events of this chapter when it comes to Beerus and Vegeta, and some very interesting things did happen in this chapter. So one thing I did like, but another thing also I really did not like. I know I said that there was one thing in this chapter that I really didn't like. This wasn't it, although this was indeed something that I didn't like, if I'm being honest. So we finally get to see a little bit of that training between Beerus and Vegeta. Now, Beerus, of course, is talking to Vegeta, asking him about the past with the Saiyans. Now, I did cover this in the, I think the video that I did where I covered the early draft pages, where we saw a bit of a conversation between Beerus and Vegeta when he was asking him about the Saiyans' past. And he was asking him, like, do you hold the Saiyans, do you feel bad about what the Saiyans did in the past? Vegeta says, no, I don't. And he says, do you blame Frieza for what the Saiyans did? And he said, no, because the Saiyans themselves were also greedy. And, they sort of did that to themselves, and which is true. King Vegeta was very greedy. And if we know anything from a lot of the stories that we've read in the past, usually whenever people are greedy, it always ends up biting them in the ass. And yeah, King Vegeta definitely ended up regretting letting his, I guess you could say, his greed take over. It's just that it got a little bit worse when, for the Frieza clan showed up on Planet Vegeta. And then he asked him, like, hey, what does any of this have to do with, the technique that you want to show me? And he says, no, it has everything to do with it. And he fires a blast to a planet, which completely destroys it. And, we even cut to a little bit of a commenting from Goku and Whis. And Goku says once again, I guess he could say he got reminded that Beerus is not someone to be messed with. And I know a lot of people are probably going to look at that and say, wait, why is Goku saying this? He has MUI and all of that stuff, which I'm not going to get to. I know for a fact, I've been in this fandom long enough to know that this is what's going to happen. Anyway, Vegeta asks Beerus, like, hey, is that the technique you want to show me? And he says, that was just a little bit of it. And he asks, okay, so what does the Saiyan's past have to do with this technique, and he basically grabs his face, which I think you'll see the panel of that happening in this in the video that you're seeing. Not yet, but it will come up eventually. He grabs his face and just slams him to the ground and says it has everything to do with the Saiyans' past, and he just starts destroying Vegeta, throws him to a tree, and then this is where it happens. A lot of people have been wondering ever since 2015 when Whis asks Beerus in the Resurrection F movie, how do you think Vegeta is going to react when he finds out that you were the one who, I guess, suggested to Frieza that you destroy his planet Vegeta? And Beerus says, keep it under wraps, keep it quiet, don't tell him. And a lot of people were wondering, like, hey, is Vegeta ever going to find out? Well, in this chapter, he did find out. Beerus says, hey, you want to know something interesting? I was the one who suggested to Frieza that he destroy your planet. And then Vegeta, of course, is surprised, and he says, "What? Are you mad?" And he says, "Why don't you come over here and I'll finish the job?" Basically, he says, "I'll obliterate you too. I'll finish the job." And Vegeta, of course, gets pissed, transformed to Super Saiyan Blue, and starts attacking him. But of course, like, there's no way he stood a chance. And Beerus just goes on to destroy him. He goes on to just destroy Vegeta. I'm sure you've probably seen the panel online. The one where he's just standing on top of Vegeta like it's nothing. And he basically tells him that, the fact that you the fact that you're still clinging to the past is what's stopping you from growing. Like, as long as you stick to what happened in the past, you'll never move forward, which is technically true. Although I don't understand why this even needs to be said, because it's not like Vegeta was ever hung up on what happened in the past. It's not like he felt any guilt or whatever. He never cared about his people. He never cared about his planet. He never cared about any of that stuff. So I don't understand why this is even being brought up or whatever. But anyway, so if anyone was wondering whether or not if he was wondering whether or not Vegeta was ever going to know, well, this chapter does indeed answer that. And he goes on to use a technique against him. Now, this is the technique that he wanted to teach him, and this is the part where I was kind of disappointed, guys. I'm not going to lie. So, and yeah, you can see the technique right now on screen, and this is basically what ends up happening to him. Now, you can't see what Beerus says in the panel on the left. Well, it's gone now. But he basically says destruction. So the technique he wanted to teach him is the Hakai technique. This, to me, was honestly very, very disappointing. Ever since the chapter got released, the previous chapter, and he says, like, the Ultra Instinct is not the only technique of the gods, I thought that maybe, just maybe, we were about to be introduced to a brand new technique, not one that we kind of already knew. So the fact that it turns out the technique he wanted to teach him is indeed the Hakai, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit disappointed. Like, I don't know. And oh yeah, we do get confirmation from Goku that he did try to use that technique. Of course, talking about in the Future Trunks arc, which happened in the manga, not in the anime. If you only watch the anime, you're not gonna know what Goku's talking about. But yeah, in the manga, Goku did indeed try to use the Hakai technique against Fused Zamasu, but he failed at doing it. Although this to me kind of was confusing, but it could be because, like, he used it and it was working. The only reason why it didn't work is because Zamasu, like, brought in Mai and used her as a shield, and like Goku had to stop using it. And of course because he had his immortality and he healed all the damage. So I don't know, that line kind of confused me. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, it turns out that's the technique that Beerus wants to teach Vegeta. It is the Hakai technique. Now, whether or not this is going to put him on par with Goku, I don't know. Maybe against regular Goku, maybe Super Saiyan Blue Goku. I think it will give him like an edge, especially when they go up against anyone in the future. But I feel like it's not really gonna do much to put him on par with Ultra Instinct Goku, especially physically. I don't know. Again, we'll have to wait and see. And oh yeah, they show us that, yeah, the Hakai technique is not an easy technique to master. And Beerus says that one of the reasons why he's able to use it is because he has destruction on his mind, like pretty much 24/7. And that it's something you need in order to be able to use this technique. And he says that, you saw the panel just a second ago. He says to Vegeta, before creation comes destruction, you have to let go of what happened so you can clear your head and be able to move forward and get stronger. So that's what happened with Beerus and Vegeta. I don't know. Like, those are just my thoughts. As always, guys, I'm curious to know what you think. But let's move on to what happened to Granolah. This is the most interesting part of the chapter for me. So Granolah heads on home after he got done with his job, and he says that he's going to be staying there for a while because he doesn't really have any jobs lined up. And one of the reasons that they mentioned was because Frieza's alive and they want to lay low and they don't want to get in his way, which of course makes sense considering how powerful Frieza is right now. Way more powerful than he was back when he was alive during before he died in the at the end of the Namek arc. So he of course goes to do some shopping and then heads on over to his home. Now, if you saw the video that I did where I covered the early spoilers that got released, he is living with someone, and we find out that that person is a Namekian. So we find out in this chapter that there are Namekians living outside of planet Namek. So planet Namek wasn't the only planet that had Namekians. There are other Namekians out there, but we also find out in this chapter that there are also, or at least it's possible that there are other sets of Dragon Balls other than the ones on Earth and other than the ones on Namek. Of course, excusing the Super Dragon Balls, of course, not including them. So now again, this is very interesting. This is some really good world building. I again, like I said, I like it. World building is usually my favorite part of any story, and there is some really good world building here. So we also get to see a conversation between Granolah and the Namekian that he's living with, and I forget his name, Mori Ito, I think. I'm sorry. I just I'm blanking out on the name, which is kind of weird because I only just now read the full chapter. Anyway, he's living with him over there, and they have a discussion about the Dragon Balls. And he says that Granolah says I want to use the Dragon Balls to wish back my people, but then of course the Namekian says to him, okay, but if you do that, then what about the people that are already living here? What about the people who have already made lives for themselves? Like, what are you going to do to them? Are you going to expect them to just uproot their lives and just leave, especially after how they treated us so well? And he says, okay, yeah, makes sense. So, okay, I like that. I like that for Granolah. I like that he thought about the Shigerians for a second. So anyway, he says that either way, like, even if you wanted to make a wish, you couldn't do that because you need the other Dragon Ball. So we also find out in this chapter that a little bit of lore when it comes to the Dragon Balls, like the amount and the power of the dragon depends on the person who makes it. So it turns out you don't need 7 Dragon Balls, just like with the Earth Dragon Balls, just like with the Namekian Dragon Balls, and just like with the Super Dragon Balls. You can make a dragon appear with just 2 Dragon Balls, which is the case in the chapter that we just saw. Now, granted, he only has 1, and the other one was lost a long time ago, which again kind of plays into what I really didn't like about this chapter. So Granolah tells him that, okay, fine, I'll forget about the wish. I mean, it's not like I could make it in the first place. So we cut to Granolah and him. Granolah, it's night and he's watching the news, and what just happens to conveniently show up on the news while he was watching it, right after he had a conversation about wishing that he had the other Dragon Ball so he can make the wish. The news says that a kid found the other Dragon Ball. Again, very convenient. And again, it ties into what I really did not like about this chapter. So Granolah, and this also, the fact that this happened also kind of, like, I didn't like the fact that this happened because, like, again, while it makes sense considering what Granolah wants, like, he wants revenge against Frieza for what he did to his people, but at the same time, I also didn't like because it's kind of a negative for his character. So he ends up stealing the Dragon Ball from the Shigerians. Now, the reason why I didn't like this is because you just established in this chapter that the Shigerians have treated him well, and Granolah actually likes them. It's not like he hates them. He gets along with them very well, and like I don't know. I kind of didn't like the fact that this happened. It's just maybe that's just me. So he steals them. He heads on over. He heads back to the mountain, and he summons the dragon, and he makes the wish. Now his wish is to become the greatest warrior in the universe. And that's the cliffhanger. Now, keep in mind, there is still a chance that in the next chapter we do not get an actual answer as to whether or not the dragon can actually grant this wish. Because remember, saying that you want to be the strongest warrior in the universe is a lot, because there are really powerful, beings out there in the universe. You've got Goku, you've got Vegeta, Broly's still out there. Even some of the people on Earth, you've got Gohan, Goten, Piccolo. Like, so there are really powerful warriors out there. So we're gonna have to wait and see whether or not the dragon will actually, whether or not the dragon will actually be able to grant this wish. And I just find this very good. And if I'm being honest, I actually kind of hope that the dragon says that, like it can't grant his wish because it's not within his power to do so. But it might be, but Granolah might wish for the dragon to tell him, like, are there other Dragon Balls that can grant my wish? And it might tell him about, maybe it'll tell him about the Earth's dragon. Maybe, who knows, maybe it'll tell him about, oh, this could be even more interesting. Maybe it'll tell him about the Namekian Dragon Balls, which might have the power to do so. Because, it might take him to New Planet Namek, and, he'll take the Dragon Balls that are there. And it could be really interesting because we could see some conflict within Granolah. Like, he will get there and he'll want to take the Dragon Balls, or maybe at first he'll ask them for the Dragon Balls, but they'll tell him, once they find out why he wants the Dragon Balls, they'll tell him, no, I'm sorry, we can't let you use the Dragon Balls for that kind of a reason. And not to mention, we have had someone come to us before asking us for the Dragon Balls in order to grant, a selfish wish, which does get mentioned by the Namekian in this. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not mentioning his name. I completely forgot about it. I'm sorry. Because he tells him that Dragon Balls are not meant to be granted for selfish wishes. No one tell him about what happens on Earth. Just no one tell him. I'm pretty sure the guy's already old enough. Pretty sure he might have a heart attack. Anyway. So, again, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe we'll see some interesting conflict with Granolah. Maybe he'll be so obsessed with revenge that he'll end up getting to the point where he might actually kill them in order to grab the Dragon Balls, because he's just that obsessed with getting revenge on Frieza for what he did. But anyway, that is all I have to say, guys, on this chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and let me know if I missed anything, other than the guy's name, on whether or not I missed anything in this chapter that you want to mention. Let me know in the comments, and let me know your thoughts about the chapter in the comment section down below as well. And please remember to click on the like button and share this video out there on whatever social media platform you use. And remember, guys, to stay safe and take care of yourselves as always, and please join me for the next video. Bye for now.